Back on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We've been talking about business advocacy, but according to statistics published by the Small Business Administration, the SBA, 7 out of 10 new employer establishments survive at least 2 years, and 51% survive at least 5 years. That is quite a statistic, and I'm thrilled to be joined by our returning guest, as I always say, my friend and my mentor, Dr. Jim White. Jim, welcome back to Get Down to Business.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome. It's always a pleasure.
It's great to have you. So, Jim, you talk regularly about the landmines of business failure and how to avoid them. We just shared that staggering statistic, and you have worked with businesses over your long career, and I mean that as a compliment, Jim. So, Jim, how can people avoid those landmines?
Well, first, Scott, let me lay out 4 major landmines that I've encountered over the past 4 to almost 5 decades. Number one is the financing hurdles. I often refer to that's lack of working capital. The second thing that we see that are some of the landmines is what I call inadequate management or the lack of business acumen and or qualified staff. And the third thing that we see over and over and over is ineffective planning or no plan whatsoever. And the fourth thing that we see all the time is lack of marketing plan. And like I said, an even worse, a lack of a marketing plan is for the business owner to realize the importance of a marketing plan. So those are the 4 common areas that are typical landmines of small businesses. How do you avoid them? Well, capital. That's capital, and especially this day and age with the COVID-19 pandemic and all the businesses suffering. I cannot stress enough. Cash and a plan and the marketing. You got to find different markets today than maybe you did 6 months ago or even 1 year ago. How to avoid them maybe is something that we can continue to dig down on over time, lay out some more specific things, especially with the times that we're living in.
Absolutely. And there are many landmines that exist. And I think business owners are experiencing many of them right now in this world of COVID. But we've talked about some of those fundamentals about proper business management over recent segments. And you certainly have seen a thing or two. Jim, I want to actually touch on the period that we're in right now, COVID-19. In your experience, are we recoverable? Are the businesses that have had to furlough, will they be able to pick back up? Do you see that end in sight?
I respond this way. What a great question, Scott. And I know we have limited time here. It depends on the business. I think it's going to be very challenging for the restaurant industry or the leisure industry. It's going to be challenged. There's going to be from manufacturing. I think there's some recovery there. And also another thing you and I talk about daily, opportunities we have in these qualified opportunity funds and qualified opportunity zones. So I would encourage every business owner to learn more about that because there are some relief. It's not necessarily from the government that I think everybody should take a look at.
Well, that's such an important point.
I'm optimistic.
That's great to hear that you're optimistic, and that's such an important point that even in this sort of challenging period that we're in, there are opportunities. But one of those important opportunities is 16 days away, which is the election. Yes. The election, and I know both of us share this message for our listeners: get out and vote. I've been chatting with Dr. Jim White, the author of the best-selling book, Broken America. Check out brokenamerica.com. Jim White, thank you so much for joining me on the air, as always.
My pleasure. Have a good evening.
Have a great evening. You could always get down to business. Download our podcast wherever your favorite podcast platform app is. We'll be back next Sunday on AM 560 The Answer.